Could you go ahead and tell us your name and position?
Mary Arnzen. I'm the director of the Ohio River Valley chapter of the American Red Cross.
And how long have you worked for the chapter?
It will be 6 years in July, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long at all. When I first started with the Red Cross, it was just a job, and now it's become my passion because I understand the importance of having a Red Cross chapter in a community. We provide a lot of services that others don't, and it's a very important organization to have in a community.
And what is the mission?
The mission of the Red Cross is to alleviate human suffering in the face of emergency by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors.
And how do you find your mission?
Define it? Well, we help...
It says fund. How do you fund this mission?
We rely on the generosity of our donors in our community, and we're not a government-funded agency. And that is what's really hard, if you want to call it that. We just have to rely on grants, people, single donors, foundations, and then we usually have a lot of events to fund our mission. And we always try to make the best use of the donor dollar. 91 cents of every donor dollar donated goes directly to services, and also 97% of our workforce are volunteers. So that's what makes it really special. We try to engage people a lot to volunteer, and that's why I think they're so very important. They're just an extension of our staff.
And I know that most of your funding does come from donors. Is there any from the government?
Nope, we're not a government-funded agency, and that's a very big misconception. A lot of people think we are, because we, in larger disasters, work next to FEMA, and that is a government-funded agency, and they get us tangled up a lot, and we're very different.
And what services do you provide?
We provide several different services. Probably the one that is the most exciting, if you want to call it that, is disaster services. And when I first became the director, I didn't really realize how important the Red Cross, how our position was in a disaster, how important it was in our community. And our part is, like, say we have a big ice storm and there's a lot of power outages. The Red Cross is tasked to open up shelters and feed people and just give them a safe place to stay overnight, keep them warm. And even in the summer, when the power is out, a lot of the mobile homes in our area get very hot, and it's nearly impossible to stay in those without air conditioning. So again, we provide a cool place in that regard. We have, like this past year, we opened up shelters in the summer because we had a big windstorm which knocked out a lot of power. We opened up shelters at Shawnee State University and also Waverly City Schools. And it really was neat too, because there were a lot of people in there that depend on electricity to operate their medical utilities, and it was very important for us to be there for them in that regard, and offer them food and such. So I always say we're just kind of the mom of the disaster, and I think it's very important for us to be in our community. Last year, and actually typically we service about 100 single-family fires, and we always had volunteers on call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And if someone has a house fire at 2 o'clock in the morning, we are called out to assist that family, and we'll get them a safe place to sleep that night. Usually we put them in a hotel for a couple nights, and then we offer them monetary assistance to kind of replace a few of their things. For instance, clothes. If you have a fire in the middle of the night, you're running out in your pajamas, and that's when we can help. In that regard, they can go get some clothes just to get them by for a couple days. And then we also offer a little stipend for food. So all of our volunteers are also armed with little comfort kits, and it involves a little baggie with just toothpaste, toothbrush, just the essential things, comb and shampoo, something to get them by until they can get their self together and figure out what their next step is. And then that kind of covers disaster services. We also have blood drives and blood donations. Our blood drives, we usually collect about 3,500 units of blood in a year, and a big part of that is our schools. The schools will hold blood drives, and those kids are really involved. They can earn scholarships and help save lives at the same time, so it's pretty exciting. Then we also have a lot of corporations, and like the hospital, they'll have blood drives as well. And we have a big partnership with our community in that regard. And then our other service is service to the military. And last year we did about 70 cases. It usually runs 60 or 70 cases in a year. And we usually, in that department, we notify the service person who is serving overseas in our community. And they might have a family emergency. So if, say, a grandson is serving in the military and his grandfather dies, the Red Cross will get him back for the funeral. So we did, again, about 70 of those last year. The other part is our health and safety, basically our first aid and CPR classes. We were able to train about over 500 last year, and that's about our average. And we will offer, the gift of saving lives. Again, people can take that course and then learn how to do CPR and first aid. So it's, again, another life-saving skill that we offer. So that pretty much wraps up that part of our services.
I know you've got a new program coming up. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, right. In preparedness, that's part of our duties in our community, is to prepare our community to shelter in place, or just to be prepared for the next emergency, like having a home preparedness kit. So we thought the best way to train our community is through our kids. So through a grant with the Martins Foundation, we purchased a puppets and a puppet stage, and we have these really neat soundtracks which involve teaching kids how to build a home preparedness kit and shelter in place. So we're really excited about that program coming up, and the Portsmouth Public Library will be helping us to get that message out.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure you get to say?
I just want to thank our donors and all the people who help us deliver our mission to our community. We have many volunteers. We just appreciate them so much, and appreciate the generosity of our donors as well.